Good evening, good morning, good day, wherever you are. Mary Hunt here at Water, and I am happy to welcome you to our third meditation for 2024. And it's with Virginia Day, who is a real favorite, not only of mine, but of so many people. This is March 4th, 2024, and Virginia always does a wonderful job with meditation, so I am sure we'll enjoy it tonight. Some of you will remember her January 2023 meditation, A Blessing for the New Year, which stayed with me and I think with many others as we grasp at straws these days to be hopeful and positive, at least here in the US. And last month we had Katie Lace with us, who spoke, you'll remember, about the work of Alma Woodsy Thomas, the first Black woman to have a solo exhibit at the Whitney in New York. I think it led to many deep reflections. And just last week, I happened to be at the National Museum of Women in the Arts here in Washington, and lo and behold, there was one of Alma Woodsy Thomas's paintings on the wall. And I'm sure I have seen it there before, but didn't make the connection. It was the red one. Remember the red one that had the red? Those of you who were with us, it had the red um, pieces, and then there were the white. Remember, she talked about the white space among the red pieces, and there it was right on the wall. So I quickly took its picture and sent it on to her, and she said she had never seen it in person. So I want to thank her. I don't know that she's with us tonight, but I want to thank her for that and just remind you that this work of Alma Woodsy Thomas is available and really rich and wonderful. So I commend it to you once again. Let us begin, as we always do at Water, with our acknowledgement of the land on which we sit. And we know that here in Silver Spring, we are on the indigenous land, the traditional and contemporary land of the Piscataway and Anacostan peoples. We acknowledge the trauma and injustice toward indigenous people that is deep in U.S. culture and history, just as the deep and traumatic experiences of all people of color in this country remain to be eradicated. We join in efforts to do that eradication and to make reparations for the genocide and the injustices involved. Water's work is aimed at bringing about social justice, so consider for a moment the native people on whose land you sit, and if you wish, feel free to put their names in the chat, just as a way of acknowledging that we are on unceded territory. Thank you. Let me mention the format for those who may be new or for those who need a refresher. We ask our presenter tonight, Virginia Day, to give us something usually around 8 minutes to spark our contemplation. And then we spend 22 minutes in silence together, which we find is enough time to get into a meditative state. And then we open the floor for conversation. I'll give further instructions about that later, but really it's a two-pronged thing. Virginia presents, and then we enter into our own meditation. And then as a closing, we have an opportunity to talk with one another. Now, as you know, there are many styles of meditation, and I think most people know best what gets you into that contemplative space, whether it's breathing in an intentional way or whether there's a word or a phrase that acts as a mantra for you. I simply invite you to do whatever works well for you. The key is that we're doing it together. What Nancy Sylvester, who pioneered this approach, calls communal contemplation and dialogue. So the time after the meditation is very important as well, because it's an opportunity to move into discussion. And Nancy always says, and I think she's right, that the quality of the discussion, even the quality of our voices, is different after the period of silence. So right now, I would just ask you to mute your Zoom so that we can have a good, clear line and also uninterrupted time for Virginia to present. And then I'll invite you to unmute your phone and to be part of the discussion once we finish. Virginia Day is a nurse, a palliative care chaplain, and a spiritual director who brings deep experience and great insight to our midst. Her background, both in nursing and ministry, gives her a holistic view of persons and situations. I said earlier, and I will repeat, I always find her choice of a topic and her way of presenting it to be just what I need in the moment. whether I know I need it or not. I assume tonight will be no exception. Virginia will draw on biblical and other ancient examples of persistence to offer contemporary models of persistence. Yes, she persisted. We need the strength and the resources that the practice of persistence may offer in these very complicated times. Virginia has been in our prayers in this group of late because she's recovering from knee surgery. I hope you're increasingly mobile, Virginia, and as I saw you get up and get your water and push that walker aside, I can see that you are, and I'm deeply grateful for that, and I hope you're feeling more comfortable. I thank you for sharing your insights and your wisdom on persistence. Virginia Day.
Thank you, Mary. Well, I thank you for the opportunity to offer a few thoughts to guide your quiet meditation this evening. As I look at the screen at each of you, we really have gathered here for a number of years now as a community and friends of water. As Water's third Monday evening contemplation for 2024, I follow January's offering by Brad Lutz on showing a challenging journey like his to Iona, especially without one's luggage, but one that opened for him and for us in his invitation to us to enter a year of wonder. In February, Katie Lace introduced us to the art of Alma Wooding Thomas, as Mary mentioned, an African-American woman whose artwork merited a solo show at the Whitney Museum. Her arthritic limbs in late life did not limit her ability to create a 13-foot-long canvas. It's only now, as I prepare this evening, that it is no small wonder that I am drawn to the significance and implications of the quality of persistence. Even as we meet, the crocuses outside my front door are pushing up against the winter soil. Nature can tell us a lot about persistence. One of the many definitions to be found in the Webster Dictionary, and I actually went to a Webster dictionary. They're wonderful, actually. It defines persistence as remaining, one of the definitions, as remaining long attached, like leaves of the oaks that cling to the trees through winter. I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but when there are times when you might be involved in a project or maybe buying a new item like a car, and then suddenly the subject of your pursuit is everywhere. It's in the media, it's in your acquaintances' conversations. So that is what I found when I decided on pursuing persistence, that it's everywhere. So I found with the word persist and persistence that it's in all conversations that we're hearing 24 hours a day. Persistent fighting, persistent headache, persistent poverty, persistent work of dismantling oppression, etc. The Women's Ordination Conference gathered recently at ancient Roman saints' tombs to pray for persistence. I'm sensitive, particularly in this group gathered here, how very committed you are to the world, to the events of each day. And I know that you are familiar with countless examples of and witnesses to persistence. Many years ago, not knowing, of course, I would arrive at this evening with the task of offering a reflection, I discovered an artist's representation of persistence. Sister Marian Honors, a sister of St. Joseph of Carondelet, now living and working in Latham, New York, offers us a view of a homemaker bending with her broom, searching for the lost coin. At that time, it would have been considered a day's wages. The artwork is based on a familiar parable from the Christian gospel, Luke 15, verse 8 to 11. Interestingly enough, I found stories in Arabic and even a child's coloring book of similar search for the treasured coin. The themes intended were related to the return of a repentant sinner, or if you were preaching, a question about what we hold as treasures. How we all can identify with her when we too have turned the house upside down, looking for a credit card, a set of car keys, or even a tender last note from a friend. I mentioned that I sought out definitions of persistence. As I sat with the print that we're going to see in a short while, these are the words that came to mind, either as a noun or a verb or an adjective. To go on resolutely in spite of opposition. To be fixed. To be insistent in repetition of a question. To be dogged. To be tenacious. So I suggest, as we take a few minutes, Mary will lead us through the time, that as we ponder the print that Sister Marian offers us, that we reflect on three simple questions, and Lisa has kindly prepared these for you in the chat. Who are the models of persistence for you? And to whom a debt of gratitude may be owed? Are they ancestors, public figures, past or present? How do I tend the quality of persistence in myself and in others? And finally, and you can come up with questions too of your own, what communities of persistence do I want to be a part of? And which of those can I support in whatever way is possible? So I'll just remind you of those definitions that I found. to go on resolutely in spite of opposition, to be fixed, to be insistent in repetition of a question. And this is the one I love: doggedness, tenacious. So I'll let Mary instruct us further how we'll spend the next 20 minutes or so.
Thank you, Virginia. Very profound and helpful, very simple and straightforward, very evocative and inviting. Thank you so much. The questions are in the chat, so you can just click on the chat and see them. And remember that basically the question is, who are models of persistence to whom we owe a debt of gratitude? How do I tend that quality of persistence in myself? And with what communities do I want to be persistent in a variety of tasks? So those are the questions as Virginia has laid them out. We move now into our contemplative time, and Lisa will be putting up the illustration that Virginia described, and that may also be helpful for your meditation. After 22 minutes, I will bring us back again, and we begin now with the sound of the gong, and you'll hear the gong again in 22 minutes. Enjoy your meditation. Thank you, Virginia. Hello and welcome back. I want to thank Virginia Day for presenting us so many rich thoughts about persistence. I want to thank the woman with the lost coin and the artist, Marian Honors. And I want to thank all of you for persisting to this time in our experience together as we look together at what were some of our reflections. The questions were helpful too. Who are models of persistence? How can I encourage myself to be persistent? And what communities of persistence do we want to be a part of? Once again, thank you to Virginia Day and to all of you